So the presentation is from the French implementation on the full hybrid vision. Next slide, please. Just a quick reminder for the French implementation, basically is a result of over 10 years of work because we started in 2014 on how to implement the CITS within the Scoop project, and now we are in 2025 within the Scale project with everything with a lot of partners, so coordinated by the French Ministry of Transport, but basically highways, national roads, collectivities, academia, car manufacturers, service provider, etc. We have a big way of handling everything in CITS, and you can see on the map on the side the amount of deployment that was done over the last 10 years. I'm not going to go into the details, but now in France, we consider within the Scale project that we are at the last stage of CITS deployment, and we want to overcome the last blockages for this deployment. There are still some issues to be overcome, so technical topics with the different technologies that are present. And that's the hybrid topic, especially economic issues, industrial issue, to make sure that road operators can easily deploy. And another part, of course, within Scale, at least in France, is that we will deploy actual onboard units for road operators on all the fleet in the French Ministry of Transport. Next slide, please. I'm not sure it presents well, but just how we did it over the last 10 years is that we built the different services and the different architectures by the addition of services little by little. We really used a way of saying what is the most important, the easiest, I would say, not the most important, but what's the easiest first. So ITSG5 and hybrid architecture that was done already in the Scoop project, but on easy use cases, now I consider easy, and we added up use cases as we went, and in Scale now we are tackling more rural use cases, vulnerable road users, cycles, scooters, because etc. We consider that for CITS we are still in the beginning of what we can do with CITS. So that was the logic in France, and we will continue on this within the Scale project. Next slide, please. Same for the architecture. It was built up by addition little by little. Can you just, it's a continue. It's a, can you, yeah. In Scoop, we started with just the ITSG5 architecture, which was quite easy, linking the traffic control center to an ITSG5 vehicle. Then we added in wave 2 the hybrid architecture with the CITS platform. Then in Intercore, we added some element on logistics. Then in Searoads France, we added a smartphone application, especially, but also urban use cases. You can continue. And in Indeed, which was the last to finish, we added some use cases on buses, law enforcement vehicles, and automated vehicles. The idea for us is, yes, the architecture is not set in stone. We just add new objects to it, and that's the way that we see the hybrid architecture. And whenever we add an object, we consider that we need to think on the impacts on the architecture from this object and a new topic. Next slide, please. So the main principle is that we want to make sure that all of those objects, all the stakeholders, and the receivers especially can receive the messages everywhere. On short range, so mostly so far we worked on ITSG5, and on long range, so on cellular links, same messages. So how do we ensure this? Is that we make sure that all the layers are the same, and especially the GeoNet layer that is part of the COAT specification. GeoNet layer can help making sure that a message can get from being sent on the cellular link and being then transferred or forwarded to the ITSG5 links. So this is something that we worked on, that we tested, that it works, and make sure that on a full hybrid environment, we don't care, I would say, we don't care in France which technology and which channels. We just want to make sure that whenever we send a message, it is received everywhere. Next slide, please. Just a few examples on how it works. I will go quite fast. So the ITSG5, quite easy, from the traffic control center to a roadside unit to a vehicle. So I'm talking next slide. Same message goes from the traffic control center to the national station, which is basically the broker that Risto and Christian mentioned earlier. So it respects fully the CWAT specifications. And from this broker, we are sending the message so far to a smartphone application, but we also tested it obviously with the car manufacturers during the CWAT France project. But same message originally, and sent at the same time to both links. Same for road operator vehicles. It can be forwarded to the cellular link to the smartphone application, which is called Kupits. And next slide. It can be also sent on ITSG5 link directly to another ITSG5 vehicle. So all of this, we ensure that same messages everywhere being sent, so it's a full hybrid environment. So just a quick explanation of the architecture. But where we are in France, those are the results of, as I said, 10 years of testing, but we've started the deployment. In terms of what we have installed on the road, we have almost 600 roadside units, so mostly on motorways, some on urban environments. And we have about 300 onboard units, but within scale, we will add about 2,100 by the end of 2028. So now we are getting to deployment, as I was mentioning, on those outbound units. The cellular architecture is fully operational. You have the map here, and you see what it covers. If you go to the Kupits link that I will put at the end of the presentation, you will see the services that are covered there. It depends. It can be messages IVI or DNM, mostly, even also SPATEM MAPEM. And how we tested it and we experimented it, obviously, is with the Kupits smartphone application. And we are open to get some car manufacturers to connect to our broker to provide those services who are operational clearly, and the road operators are really willing to make sure that you can get this information. We are also preparing the operation for roadside units that are already installed to provide also on ITSG5. So the idea is to finish it by the end of the year on this. Next slide. So here is what was done within Indeed, the Indeed project. You can see everything that was done operationally. Those are the results of the evaluation. So the CAM from Kupits all across France, and even in the border countries, IVI and the DNM sent and received, because we can, with the Kupits application, the users can also send some DNM with manually. Next slide. The work continues in scale. We are working in. We are still aiming the full hybrid environment. So we continue the work on architectures. The onboard unit, the additional at least 2,000 ones from the ministry. We will try to include both short-range technologies, because as I said, we don't care the technologies. We just want something that is mature. And the long-range technology to make sure that the messages reach as many people as possible. Of course, since we don't know the CV2X technology yet, there will be a first phase of intense testing before deciding to deploying to the full fleet on the full hybrid part. But that's the idea for us if we manage there. Then we have also worked with service provider to define clearly their position in the CITS ecosystem. CITS to us in France is cooperative services, and we need to see how those service providers who so far, or at least the view that we have in France is that they use data to provide services to road users. The idea is that they are not only using, that they can also help and cooperate to build services. So this will be a work done in the French part of Scale. And finally, but not the least one, is the work on processes to provide ready-to-roll operations to road operators, and especially the smallest one like cities or rural road operators like collectivities. I think that was my last slide, and I put the links of the CITS website from France, where you can get all the information on what we've done.